No, I don't abuse, I don't go outside them for anybody. I don't care who you are. Not even my own mother will I go outside these rules. As long as I keep those rules straight, everything else seems to fall into place in my life. And I got
I
out
love
and,
that.
yeah, man, I got out, I got a sponsor. I did everything I was supposed to do, and I continue to do everything that I was supposed to do to this day.
This is Rock Bottom with Ryan. No sugarcoating, no filters. The pain, the chaos, the truth. No bullshit. Just recovery.
Hey everyone, I just want to say that this episode is brought to you by Sober Strong Apparel, our proud sponsor. It is not just lifestyle wear, it's battle gear. Heavyweight tees, hoodies, and gear for the ones who draw a hard line. Clean, sober, no compromise. We rep sobriety like a badge of honor, and every piece you throw on says you're a part of the crew that doesn't back down. And every order fuels 10% to treatment facilities, which I think is amazing because a lot of us who are in recovery and a lot of us who are sober now went to treatment facilities, including myself. So I just love that 10% goes to that cause. And the clothing is incredible. Incredibly thick, packaged well, incredible material. I mean, it's like the softest clothes I've ever seen. And so not only does it look good, feel good, but it's for a good cause. And I really respect and appreciate what this company represents. And you know, it doesn't have to be for just for people who are in recovery to rock the brand. I think anybody who supports the sobriety lifestyle, the recovery community, who has loved ones in recovery, I think it's really important to support the brand, you know. And at checkout on soberstrongapparel.com, enter rock bottom, all capital, rock bottom at checkout for an additional 10% off. I love this brand, love to rep it every day. It's comfortable, feels good to wear it, looks good. I mean, it's amazing. So I just love what this company represents. And thank you so much for watching this episode. Have an amazing day and a happy holidays. All right, welcome to another episode of Rock Bottom with Ryan and Rachel, here with co-host Rachel Sereni, and we got Julian, the Hope Dealer, our guest today. How you doing, Julian?
I'm doing fantastic. How you guys doing?
Hey,
Doing
good,
well,
good.
doing well. Glad to have you on a Friday afternoon over here. It's evening over there, I guess. But yeah, so we're going to ask just kind of what's your sober date and what was your drug of choice to start?
Yeah, so my sobriety date is June 24th, 2020. So a little over 5.5, coming up on 5.5 years, God willing, right? And my drugs of choice were alcohol, cocaine, and I dabbled in meth, went into psychosis a few times.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Same. And
You did
so
not?
I
I didn't, yeah.
accidentally,
I
accidentally.
said, damn.
Okay.
Oh, it was literally an accident. I thought it was a different drug and it was all in powdery form. And I snorted it and wondered why it burned so bad. And next thing you know, I'm awake for 3 days.
Yeah.
Christ.
Not proud of
Okay,
it.
back to
That's a
you.
great way to start
Back
the
to you,
show.
Julian. Back to you, Julian.
Back to you, Julian. Let's get off my topic. But anyways, so like, you mind giving us kind of just a little lowdown of like when you kind of started drinking, using, and all that, and like what your childhood was like, and what maybe led to that?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, growing up, I grew up here in San Jose in California, and I had a beautiful family, right? Like, I have three older sisters. Mom and dad had great careers. Mom's a flight attendant. Father's a retired master gunnery sergeant in the Marines. But I was adopted from birth, so I don't know my biological parents, right? I know the lady who had me was a drug addict, and due to that, I was born a couple weeks early. I was actually placed in an incubator for like the first couple weeks, months of my life, and I was 2 pounds 2 ounces. I don't know anything about the guy who was involved. I don't know anything about that. I just knew that's why I was so small. I was what's called like a miracle baby, right? Because I was like, I could fit in like the palm of your hand.
Oh my
You know,
gosh.
my parents now, who are my parents no matter what, you know what I mean? They bathed me, they clothed me, they fed me, supported me all my whole life, right? They've always had my back. They were looking for a boy and they went to the adoption agency and they went to go pick me up, kind of like at this house. And the crazy thing is, there was another family that was supposed to pick me up that day and they didn't show up, right? So that's the reason why I believe that people are placed in your lives for like a true reason, right? And fast forward, sixth grade, my parents went through a crazy divorce, 32 long years of marriage. And that's when I kind of started dabbling in alcohol, right? I used to steal 40s from the 7-Eleven down the street with one of my boys that I'm still very good friends with to this day, right? He's like my best friend actually. And it's crazy because my family, my sisters, I used to tell my sisters that I wasn't their blood, right? I used to, when I was like getting mad, I was like, I'm not even your blood. I'm not even your real brother, right? And then they flipped it and they would start telling me that. And then what that happened is that became my limiting beliefs that I wasn't their blood. I wasn't their real brother. I'm never going to be anything. I'm a piece of shit. I'm a loser. No woman's ever going to want me. And so that was what I told myself growing up. So those were the beliefs that were instilled in me.
Those cause low self-esteem and so forth.
Oh, absolutely. And obviously, so I went to the streets to go hang out with people that were going to accept me because I never wanted to be home. I live in the nicer part of the east side, right, in San Jose. But where I went to high school at and where I went to middle school at, that's like the deep east, right? And so I was never home, right? So they come to my house and they see like this beautiful house and like, oh, you live in I never would expect you to live here. It's like, yeah, I lived here, but I didn't grow up here. Like I was out like there running around, like, you know what I mean? It's weird because, I started drinking in sixth grade and I just remember drinking and that sense of drinking, like, I just means that I didn't have to go home for like that much longer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Crazy because I had like abandonment issues, with my the lady who had me, who didn't want me and stuff like that. Like, I don't know what the situation was, but I just knew I had those issues, right? And I had like this hole in my heart that needed to be filled. And I look back on it to this day and I was like, man, that it was the alcohol that was giving me that feeling, right, of love. And it's
Right.
crazy because I had love here at the house. Like I had love here that, well, at least I kind of felt like I was loved, you know what I mean? Um, my parents gave me everything I needed and everything kind of like what I wanted. I got everything for Christmas and, it was just, I chose to go down this crazy path. Like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
How many siblings did you have?
So I have three older sisters,
3 older sisters.
three
Okay.
older, yeah, with all great careers. One of them's like a chef in Spain. The other one lives out in Hollister. The other one lives out in Sacramento. They got their own places.
Okay.
Wow.
So do you remember like what your first experience was, buzzed, and how it felt, and like, were you in love with it right
Yeah.
away, or was it kind of a slippery slope?
Yeah, it's funny because I so where I first drank at is actually right down the street from my house. My buddy used to live right down the street, and we used to get drunk and throw rocks at cars. It's pretty
Nice.
crazy. Yeah, it's wild, wild, right? And it's funny. Someone the other day threw an orange at my car, and I was pissed, right? And I was like, you know what? I was like, maybe an orange isn't that bad. Like I used to throw
Right.
rocks and like cans of soda shaking up at cars. Maybe an orange ain't that bad. So I had a little
Could
karma
be
come back
worse.
to me today. Yeah. But that feeling that like alcohol gives me is just so warm and so like it's like a blanket that covers me. You know what I mean? And it makes it feel like I don't have any more problems. The stuff we hear like in the rooms. It's exactly that. It comforts me, and I remember I didn't get drunk as fast like off beer. I would have to drink a lot, and beer makes me like really bloated, right? So I'm like, I need something that's gonna get me from here to here. So we started drinking alcohol, and that was it. I started to steal alcohol from my parents, and I was just drinking like Puerto Rican rum that they saved for like years to drink on special occasions, and I was just just
Well,
drinking that, yeah, with orange
Oh,
juice and
man.
doing
anything in
cocaine.
sight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did that
Yeah,
too, and I used to fill to get away with it, I would fill I don't know what my thought process was. I got caught every time. I would fill it back up with water and just put the bottle back.
yeah, yeah,
And they would find out on the special occasion that this was not
yeah,
alcohol water. I got in a lot of trouble for that a few times.
yeah. That's funny. That's funny.
So when did you graduate from like drinking to like getting into drugs, hard drugs and stuff?
Yeah, so I started doing coke around like probably about seventh grade, and
Wow.
I didn't know anything about it, right? I just knew someone had given me a sack, and they gave it to me, and I never used to break it up or anything. I used to just snort it how it was, like all rocky and shit. And yeah, and I remember I used to get these crazy ass drips, and I was just addicted to that feeling. And seventh, eighth grade rolled around, and And then I went into high school, right? And high school was like a whole different world for me because it was just that's when I started. Like I was like robbing like drug dealers, stealing from drug dealers, breaking open lockers in the high school. Like I would hide in the shower and wait for everybody in the PE locker room to change. But before that, I would walk around with a notepad and a pen, and I'd walk around and see who had nice shit. I'm like, oh, locker 415 has nice shit. Okay, perfect. Locker 302. Okay, perfect. Then I would go hide and I'd break open the lockers and steal all their shit. And that's how I was getting like money in high school, right? And so like all these people were getting robbed like in the locker room. And hey, if you're listening to this, hey,
Sorry,
and your
bro.
shit got robbed and you went to Overfelt, my bad.
I owe you a pair of Jordan 11s. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah. I owe you a cell phone or two. You know
I
what I
went through a
mean?
Like,
klepto phase too, so yeah.
yeah, as
The
a
Kmart
female,
behind my house hated me, believe me. When MP3 players came out, I had a whole business going in high school.
It was popping, huh?
yeah, yeah, same. As a female, I used to take from if I was going into trap houses and I would be friendly with the guys and smoke a blunt with them or something like that. Like when they weren't looking, I would take shit off the table and shit.
What I would do, I had this special thing going on. I had this special thing going on in Kmart where I would go into the education section, like where the school supplies were. I'd grab a pair of scissors from there. I would go to the electronics section, get an MP3 player, and then I'd go to the clothing section and sit in one of those like circular hangers where all the clothes, and I would sit in the
Yeah,
middle of it and cut it open and throw it in my backpack and casually walk out.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Eventually,
A
I
whole
got caught.
routine.
I got caught. Yeah.
Ah,
Eventually.
And yeah, and then high school and then freshman year and then sophomore year and sophomore year. Uh, at sophomore year, my parents were watching like their son deconstruct himself slowly. I was a disrespectful, self-centered asshole, and that was my first time I went into treatment when I was in sophomore year. So I think I was about 15 or 16.
mm,
Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
yeah, man.
So, so for cocaine and alcohol?
Cocaine, alcohol, and bad behavior. I went to one of those character building boarding school slash rehab slash boot camp type of deals. And they
Oh,
came and they picked me up at 2 o'clock in the morning, two escorts. They handcuffed me and they brought me to Oakland Airport, flew me out to Las Vegas. I was handcuffed the whole time on the plane and drove me 2 hours out of Las Vegas to a place called Armagosa Valley. And that's what camp, that's where this place was at. And I was there
and
for a year.
how'd that go? And did you learn anything, or were you rebellious there too?
For the first maybe like month or two, I was really rebellious because I thought if I was bad, they were going to kick me out. Turns out you don't get kicked out. They just put you in this intervention room that's like not too big. It's really small. And it was very mentally challenging because they would sit there and you just make you stare at a blank wall. You by yourself and you'd sit there for hours and hours and hours. And, yeah, it like really fucked me up mentally. On
yeah,
Sundays, on Sundays they would Sundays was like the breakfast, like the pancake day. Everybody would wait for breakfast on Sundays, and they would play this song at morning breakfast. I think they did it on. I'm pretty sure they do it on purpose, but it was a song that goes, "I wanna go home," and it was a song about like missing your family and stuff like that. I remember like kids would just be eating pancakes and like crying, like it was so fucked up. Like, and then
I'm
when I ended up
sorry.
yeah, when I ended up leaving there, we found out like the place went under like a lawsuit and they were giving us like bad water to drink and they were like some of the counselors were like touching the girls and they were beating kids up and the shit there and I had never seen or witnessed any of that. I had witnessed the intervention rooms and stuff like that and you know the staff would threaten you and stuff like that because you're a minor and you don't know any better and you're in this place 2 hours in the middle of the desert. There's nobody gonna come help you. You don't have any
Yeah.
access to phones. You don't have like nothing. They scan all the letters you write. I talked to my parents for 5 minutes on my birthday. That was it. But I was there for a year. Keep in mind, I was there for a year. And that was all I got, a 5 minute phone call. And it was like next and I was back to but yeah, it was very mentally challenging to me. It was I don't wish that on any like teenager to go to one of those camps.
You think
I
it
think
broke you down more than it built you up?
100%. There's actually a Facebook page of all the students that basically went to that place I went to, and it's called it's called Surviving Horizon Academy.
Jeez.
Yeah,
A
they
bunch
have
of
a
tests.
documentary on Netflix on a similar type of school. And made me cry. That's not good. And were your parents made aware of what was going on with you
No,
there
can't know anything.
or what happened there?
My parents spent 80,000. They pulled out a loan, $80,000 to send me to that school, to send me to that place.
Wow. So
Yeah,
here they are collecting money, but just ruining kids' lives basically when they're supposed to be
yeah.
saving them.
And don't get me wrong, like there was one or two counselors that, like, there's just one counselor that I have on Facebook to this day. Super cool. Like I always got along with him. His name is Mr. Jeremy, and yeah, I talk to him to this day. Like I have him on Facebook. Freaking great guy. This guy walked me through some challenging times there, like where I was just freaking broken. Like, and he was, because I was 17. I think he was like maybe like 21 at the time. So he kind of related to me a little bit. But yeah. Shout out, Mr. Jeremy for sure. If you're listening to this.
That's cool. So you did build
Mhm.
some relationships there and did get some good out of it.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of guys and girls that I know about that went to that school when I went there. Um, like I could name by names, they committed suicide later on or overdosing on drugs. I think about probably like 10 of them that I'm aware of, about 10 of them
Wow.
committed ended up committing suicide, or I heard they had died or something like that, man. Especially
Jeez.
this one guy that I have a picture. Actually, I have a picture of him in my room. This guy was like he was like what's known as like an upper status, like a higher level, and super cool guy, cool guy, and he ended up killing himself, like
Wow.
So I think it did more worse to people than it did better. I don't wish on any teenager to go there.
Wow.
Man, I'm sorry. And then when you got out, you must have been mentally, excuse my language, but like completely mentally fucked, and it made
Yeah.
the situation worse, right?
Yeah, so I'd say no less than 3 months. I mean, less than 3 months later, when I got out, I was back doing the same exact stuff, just like 100 times worse. Like they pulled me out in the middle of my sophomore year. I went back in the middle of my junior year of high school. People thought I had died because I just disappeared off the face of the earth. Those guys who came and picked me up at 2 o'clock in the morning, they just pulled me. My mom had my backpack and everything, and I was just
Mm.
gone. Like I had this one guy, one of my friends I have to this day. He had told me, he's like, dude, I thought you died. I didn't know what happened to you. Like, so it looked like people had seen a ghost. And then senior year rolls around, and at this time I'm doing cocaine and still doing cocaine, still drinking, but this time I'm doing it like in all my teachers' classes, like in my backpack. I'm going into school drunk. And you want to know the crazy part is that I worked at the high school on Fridays. Now,
Really?
yeah, I
Jeez, what
worked
were you
there. I
doing?
worked there on Fridays.
What were you doing?
Hey,
Oh, so I teach a harm reduction class to the students for drugs and alcohol. I'm part of a recovery service on Friday.
Wow. It's crazy how
Yeah,
things
so
work out.
I teach
no,
students. I have my own
seriously, though.
students at the class. Yeah,
But you got the last laugh. That's awesome.
yeah.
That's
And so
crazy.
No, it's a full
yeah,
circle moment.
Yeah,
yeah.
seriously. That's
Every
really
time I
cool.
walk on, crazy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Just do you ever tell the kids about the memories of you doing that? Are you open about
Oh yeah,
transparent?
because so we have a in the basically in my class they make us sign like HIPAA stuff. The I can't like basically I could tell the students kind of like almost like, I mean, not whatever I want, but in a sense like I have to relate to them, right? Oh, and what the students tell me, I can't tell anybody, like I can't tell teachers or anything like that. And so yeah, I tell them about all my experiences. I was like, yeah, I was doing cocaine in this class and this class and this class. I was like, so you can't tell me I don't know what you're going through. And they're like, oh, you're right.
Exactly.
Sure, I watched them from being closed off to opening up, because now they're
That's
not
good.
looking at me as a counselor or a teacher. They're looking
Yeah.
at somebody who has been there, done that. And I grew up on
Yeah.
the east side. I know I eat the same burritos at the same burrito place. You go get your burritos, bro. Like I remember
Yeah.
when those burritos were $2.50. Now they're $10. Like, come on.
Exactly. No, it's the people listen to people that actually can relate to them and they're not just hearing it from some old lady who's never experienced it or something. They can hear it from somebody directly from the source.
Yeah,
Yeah. No offense to old ladies. They might know I've been around the
yeah.
block too, but
These are me.
Literally. Like you see that classroom over there? I did 3 lines 10 years ago there.
Yeah,
Yeah, 10 years ago,
yeah.
I
That was
robbed
I
that
was
locker over there.
yeah. I was telling them so I was asking. I was basically talking to them about like whippets and stuff, and they're
Yeah,
like, "What's a whippet?" Like, and so I remember my first experience doing a whippet. I was in high school in one of the there's like bleachers, right? I remember my boy's like, "Yeah," he's like, let's do this whippet. I'm like, I don't know what it is, but let's do it, right? So he screws on something, blows out a balloon, and then I start inhaling the balloon, right? And the last thing I remember is my vision get fuzzy, and I and I
really.
and I wake up like on the ground, like what the fuck? But I wake up hearing this sound, and you know what the sound was from? It's because my head hit the fucking bleacher. Excuse my language. And it was the bench that was going to because I went my head.
Yo,
That was
Collapsed.
the noise I was hearing.
That is crazy.
did you do it again?
Never did it again. I never did
Okay.
it with that.
All right.
Yeah,
Well, lesson
I've heard
learned.
heard a lot of stories about whippets. It's kind of like I did salvia one time, and I thought that was a trip. It was only like one or 2 minute trip, but it was I can't even describe it. But I don't know if you tried that stuff before.
Yeah, I have. Like, I tried it only one time, and I remember we couldn't stop laughing, but I couldn't talk. I was like stuck in like
Holy fuck.
it
Yeah,
was
that stuff
so
is.
weird.
I thought I was gonna be
It's like I
stuck like
was.
that forever, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm normal again.
Damn.
That's
Yeah,
funny. Yeah,
Yo.
yeah,
Whip
that's
it
how it
though.
feels.
yeah. Have you done a whippet, Rachel?
No, actually, surprisingly.
Oh, I did them when I was like 15 or 16. It's
Go
probably
try
why
it
it
and then
turned
back
out
to
so
us.
stable.
I mean, wait. You know that stuff that you clean the keyboard with? Can you have done it with that? Because I've done something. Wow. Yeah,
Dusters or
actually, I
whatever.
Like
have. That's a whippet.
dusters.
Yeah.
Did I sound like I was in denial there?
I don't know if that counts as
Yeah.
whippets, but I know duster is
Well,
a
it's
you can get high
something
off of
that
it.
you shouldn't be huffing.
That's a huffer. You're a
Oh, yeah.
huffer.
That somebody's gonna be in the comments, be like, Rachel used to huff. Wow. Yeah, maybe I did one time when I was like 15 or 16 because everybody else asked me to, and I was like, okay. But
Yeah,
Bad
I don't
influence on us
remember what
all, Rachel.
happened.
yeah,
A huffer.
yeah,
No, I think I did try doing that one time when I was like 15 or 16. It didn't do anything to me. I didn't do it right or something.
yeah. No one never did anything to me is like painkillers or anything like that. Like I was never a
Yeah.
pill pop. In high school,
Me either. Besides
I would
Xanax.
do I would do like this like in high school.
Yeah, like
Uh,
mollies and stuff. Yeah.
Ecstasy and Molly and
Mm.
stuff. Yeah, that was very big when I was in high school. Like yo, because
Yeah.
everybody.
Mac Dre in the Bay Area, the
Yeah,
hyphy music.
exactly, man. So but pills and I was just never into that. Like I was never into Percocet or anything like that. It would just put me straight to sleep. That was the effect
Yeah.
it had.
I tried perk one time and it just made me like nauseous as a heck, and I just kept a bowl
Mm-hmm.
next to me the whole time, and I just never touched a painkiller again.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. No.
Yeah. And I'm
Only
glad
when I had
because
my C-section.
yeah, my addictive personality, I'm glad I didn't like it the first time, or else I probably wouldn't even be here by now, knowing me. So, yeah.
That's what
So,
my mom passed from, so hell no for me. But yeah, no, nausea.
yeah. So, how did things progress like towards the end of high school? Did you graduate or how'd that go?
Yeah, so I went to so I was a super senior. So by the time I was ready to by the time I was in senior year, I had a .17 grade point average. I had all Fs, and I needed like 70 credits to catch up. And so I went to this continuation school out in Union City, about 30 minutes away from where I live, to catch up. The cool thing was that I was very cool with the teacher, and she would let me take like the answer keys home and all this other stuff. So I would do my tests and everything like all at home and just turn them in. She marked it off. So I graduated in like a couple months from that place. But I did get a diploma. Yeah, it wasn't a GED. It was a high school diploma. And I was still doing drugs and drinking and like I said, just an inconsiderate, disrespectful asshole. And then all that stealing that I was doing eventually caught up to me, right? Because at the time I started to rob houses and I was breaking into houses, right? And so I have quite a few under my belt, right? But when I went to jail my first time, that was when I graduated. I was about I think I was 18 or 19. I think it was 18 because it was 19. I went to jail in 2009 and I got out and I did 13 months that time. I went to jail for 2 first degree burglaries, which are houses, and 1 attempted first degree. And they caught me on my attempted. They had my fingerprints in another house, and then they had me on camera in another house, and so they charged me with all three.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
So what were the consequences of that?
I got 13 months, and I got 3 years probation, right? So I did 13 months in county, and then got out. I was on probation somewhere around the 2011 timeframe, I believe. In 2011, I got my first DUI. And because I got my first DUI and I was on probation, I went I went to jail, got a probation violation, and then I ended up doing. I think that time I did 60 days for a probation violation, 60 or 90, one of those days. I went to jail, got out. A little while later, I got my second DUI and got another violation. And then I went in, I think I did like 120 days at that time. And then in between that, I had a couple, like a petty theft and some in and outs for like a couple days, booking and stuff like that. So I was in and out of like incarceration, right? In and out of jail, probation. And at this time, I'm just fucking doing whatever, bro. Like, I don't really care. Like, I'm stealing, I'm drinking, I'm doing drugs. I used to wake up with like a couple grand in my pocket and like be like, this isn't enough for the day. Like, I'm gonna go rob a house. Like, you know what I mean? Even
Yeah.
though it was, you know what I mean? And just because I like that, I like the feeling, I like that
The
rush,
adrenaline
that
rush.
feeling of being in like
Yeah.
someone else's house, right? And just like looking through all their shit. Like that was the type of guy I was, like just to feed my
Hmm.
habit. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's wild, man.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
how did you fare in jail and like incarcerated? How was that? Would you look at it as like, oh, I fit in here with all these guys, or like you're like, I can't wait to get out of here?
Yeah, there was moments in time where I was incarcerated and I was just thinking to myself like, you know what? Like this is cool. Like I could do this. Like I could go in and out. This might be the life I want. Like, and it's weird. It's so fucked up that I was thinking like that, right?
Not
Because of,
uncommon.
yeah, it's crazy how I would think, right? It wasn't until my last time I got incarcerated. That was 2014. 2004. I did 26 months. I did 26 months in 2014. I got out in 2016 or so. I just know I did 26 months at that time. And I was part of like AB 109. So basically, I've never been to prison. I'd never been to prison, right? So all those reels that people see me make, they're like, oh, this guy's done hella time in prison. I'm like, no, I just done a lot of time in county. And I had like a lot of fucking guys like show me what's up. Like, they taught me the jail politics. They taught me how to, respect other people. And that's where some of my stuff like came from. Like, that's why I'm very big on like respect. And, people ask me, how do you live in San Jose? There's like Northerners and Southerners, and you know what I mean? But you're not neither. Like how did you not get sucked into like gang stuff? And, I grew up around Asians my whole life. I grew up around Cambodians. Like to this day, I love Cambodian food since I was like 8 years old. You know what I mean? They're all, certain type of they're all Crips and stuff like that, right? And so that's what I was raised around, right? But I was never involved in anything, you know. Those were just my friends, and that's what it was, I always like to say, like I'm loyal to my soil. Those guys that had my back, they love me. They're just my friends, like you know what I mean. I shit together. And, so when I go inside, that's who I ran with. I ran with the Asians, you know what I mean? And then when the guy who had me, the guy who was involved in having, with the lady who had me, I was told for a long time that he was some type of like Korean or something like that, right? Or some type of Asian, right? I don't know how true that is, but that was what I was told my whole life. So, so I went with that, so I ran with Asians on the inside, and they were, that's my family, and that's who, that carried me and showed me all the ropes and stuff like that. So that's how I never got sucked into any of the gang stuff in out here. What guys want, sure, guys try to like run up on me and try to check me and stuff like that. And, yeah, I would tell them who I was, kind of affiliated with. And, I'd watch their demeanor just drop, like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, it's all good. And guys just want respect. That's all they want. When they try to walk up on you and, hey, where you from? And the worst thing you could say from where you're from, when guys ask you that, hey, where you from? Like, you know what I mean? The worst thing you could say is, no, I don't bang, or I don't. When people ask me like, hey, where you from? Or I have like a youngster try to like walk up on me, and I haven't had that in a very long time, right? Because I don't dress like that and I don't carry myself like that, right? So I haven't had that in a very long time. but they asked me where I'm from. I'm from here. I'm from the East. I'm from San Jose. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just be honest. Yeah.
The last time it happened to me, I told this youngster, I was like, look, dude, like you're trying to gangbang on somebody who doesn't even gangbang, bro. I was like, it's not worth it. Trust me, it's not worth your time. And I asked him where they were from, and he was like, oh, I'm from, whoop de whoop, right?
Yeah.
He told me where he was from, and then I had mentioned the name of some of the guys that I was locked up with in the hole in county on level 4. And he was like, oh yeah, he's like, that's my brother. I was like, oh shit. And then after that, it was all love, right?
That's cool.
Um, yeah, so that for that 26 months, in that 26 months, I was in all parts of the jail and county, and there was a point in time where these correctional officers were killing, like they killed this guy in the jail I was in, and a month later, after they killed that guy, they split my forehead open and they had to rush me to emergency. I had a lawsuit like Santa Clara County, and it was some crazy like big ordeal, right? These guys split my forehead open, and if you look on my Instagram on one of my pages, I'll send you the picture after this. They're carrying me out of the interview room, and my face is just shot full of blood. And
Please do. I'll
Wow.
post it up on the episode.
yeah, and so after that, I
I've
was put.
seen it.
Yeah, I was after that I was put into like one of the maximum security parts of the jail where it was a level 4. I was double red, so I come out an hour. Excuse me, I came out an hour every other day, right? Just for an hour. That's it. An hour every other day. And I was in a single man cell for the last, I believe, like 15 months of my time. And so that was mentally challenging as well because you're so confined. You're like, you're stuck. Like, I remember like it's
No
our
social
jail here.
interaction.
Exactly. And there's no, like, only one door pops at a time when you're in the hole. So you never have skin to skin contact with anybody. You talk to somebody through the door at all times. And I remember it was crazy because I would count our jail here is right next to the airport. So I know that a plane flies in every 3 minutes because I had the window facing the runway, and I would count the minutes on how, like, because I was just so like bored and talking to myself. Like, it was mentally challenging, you know what I mean? Yeah, so it was just
Yeah.
I had a lawsuit with Santa Clara County, and we ended up settling after I got out, and I just blew it all on drugs and just doing dumb shit, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
when you got out of that long-term stay or whatever, did you stay sober for a while, or were you just right back at it?
I was No, I was right back at it for sure. Yeah, I think maybe like the first night I got out, I was with some girl at the time, and she had got in a hotel room, and she already had a bottle and some tree like waiting for me, and it was all good. Like, you know what I mean? I called my boys and we just partied it up. Like, I was already drinking within the first couple hours being out, you know what I mean?
Did you have any trouble
Yeah.
not using in jail?
I used once at that time in jail, and I used meth, and it was such a horrible fucking experience.
I
Yeah,
bet being in jail on that stuff would
Meth
be
horrible.
in
hell.
jail.
Yeah, it was a
I could not imagine.
And I thought, like, thank God I was like I had some cool, like, with some people, right? I was cool with some people because I was fucking tripping, and like some of the dudes were like fucking with me and shit, like throwing stuff by me, and it lasted for like maybe 2 days, and I was tripping
Uh,
balls. After it went away, it was like it's all good. Like, I told myself, never am I doing that shit ever again because I could have got like our you know what I mean, our people in a wreck, and it was very inconsiderate what I was doing, right? I could have got people hurt. I could have got myself hurt. Like, it's just like, so if you're listening to this and you go to jail, don't ever do drugs in jail. This is horrible.
yeah.
Doesn't
No, I
sound
know.
good.
They're so accessible in jail out here. So it's like trying to be a correctional facility, but instead it's like commit more crimes in jail, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we were smoking weed. Like, and weed was cool. Like, it was all you're fucking, somebody would either come in with it, or somebody was getting remanded, so they knew, like, you know what I mean, to pack some weed in their ass. You know what I mean?
Okay. So they packed it in their ass and you were like, let me hit that?
Most of the time, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's obviously,
Okay.
it's not just they're not just stuffing nugs in their ass, you know what I mean?
Well, this
It's
just
obviously,
went to an 18 and over episode, just like that.
yeah. I'm not
I mean,
pretty
aren't they all?
secure, but
Now I have
at
to
the time,
click that button.
I mean, think about it. Like, I used to snort cocaine off the back of like dirty toilet seats in fucking like a public restroom. Like, I'm like, weed, like, it doesn't.
Man, you're
Yeah, I'm
right.
smoking it. Like, I'm getting high regardless. Like, you know what I
The
mean?
Yeah.
fire kills the bacteria, right?
The fi- exactly, it burns
Exactly.
off.
That's addict math.
For sure,
Addict
for
thinking right
sure.
here. This is great.
At-
Ah,
That's good.
So when you got out, you get out right after this whole entire situation you're using and you're partying immediately after, which is common because I used to be that girl with the bottle for the man when he gets out. Yeah, I got a bottle. But
Yeah.
so you do that, and how long did that last until like tell me what it was like up until you met your wife?
So I was on
Because that
probation
would
and
be
parole,
shortly after.
right? Yeah, so they put me on parole. They still, even though I didn't go to prison, the AB 109, they still gave me a prison term on my record. So technically I did on court files. Counts as a prison term. So I did a prison term while I was in county, right? And so I had a parole. I have a parole number and I have a PFN, which is like a county number, right? And so I was on parole and probation, but I was so good at being like on parole, like you know what I mean. It's crazy because my probation transferred my parole. He transferred my probation to basically everything on my parole officer. So as long as I was checking in with my parole officer, everything was like all good. And my parole officer was like super cool. Like it was like he was chill. Like he would tell me when he was gonna come by, right? So obviously I was drinking, right? And I would stop doing cocaine 3 days before he would come by, right? Because I knew, right? And it's crazy because there was a moment in time. There was a moment in time, sometime in me drinking and doing drugs, stuff like that. Me just doing dumb shit before I met my wife. That I was with one of my friends one day, a lady friend, and I pulled up to my house, and that's where I had gotten shot at. I got shot at 16 times at my house. Yeah, and so
wow.
that automatically alerted my parole officer, and my parole officer came to see me. He asked me what happened. Yeah, it was. They found 16 casings. They shot my house. They shot my car. All in my garage. The girlfriend, that the lady friend that I had, because she wasn't my girlfriend, it was a lady friend that I had. She got shot in the leg. She got hit in the leg. Yeah, it was a crazy experience, right? Crazy experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the result of that, whoever did that, right? The result of that, we'll just leave that kind of part kind of blank on what happened after. But that was a crazy experience I got to, and that was my second time that something like that has happened to me. Not at my house, but the first time was back in the day. You know what I mean? So that was a crazy experience, and that my parole officer was like, it was crazy because my parole officer was like, I know you're cool. Like, I know you're good. Like, you're not gang related. You don't have any gang enhancements. Like, you're good. Like, so I just kept my mouth shut and then just, I don't know who did it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's the safest route to take, right?
Exactly. I left. I had one of my boys that came to pick me up after that happened. And then, I come back to my house the next morning, my house surrounded by police, surrounded by
Wow.
police. Yeah, and they're pulling out bullet casings and all the shit from my garage, and they have to go into my house, and they're pulling out bullet casings from my fridge because it went through the garage, went through my garage door, and then it went into my fridge and like through the
And your
bathroom and all
girlfriend's
this. Yeah, 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 yeah. And so they talked to me for a little bit, and the result was whatever happened, whatever happened. That kind of put me on parole's radar, right? But and then I was bartending. I started to become a bartender at this club downtown, right? And that was when my drinking had really like just escalated because I
yeah,
was
of
drinking.
course.
My hangovers, they weren't hangovers anymore. They were detoxes, right? That was when my
Yeah.
body, yeah, that was when my body was just fully dependent upon alcohol, cocaine. I was going to work drunk, getting out, everything that comes with the nightlife, like partying,
Withdrawal
women and stuff.
symptoms and all that.
Yeah, everything. I met this girl one night, and little did I know she was gonna change my life forever. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's my wife. She went with me through everything, right? So when I met her, and keep in mind during this whole time, I was in and out. I went to a few different rehabs, right? I went to one in Oakland, twice. I left both times, right? Because I wasn't ready, and then I met, my wife, who was, obviously I just met her, so she's my girlfriend. But she friend zoned me hella tough in the beginning, and I was drinking, and she was, she was my girl, and she was coming home like from work, and I was just blacked out like all the fucking time, like just completely just. I weighed like 115 pounds. Like that's when the emergency room trip started, and fucking the ambulance started picking me up from the house, and my body was just like so shut down on just like on anything and anybody. Like I just didn't care. I just didn't care about anybody. Like, you know what I mean? And My parents and my sisters were watching me like just completely just destroying my fucking life. Like, you know what I mean? And um yeah, it's crazy. And I went to treatment. My sister and my wife Natalie, and keep in mind she's not my wife at the time, she's still my girlfriend. And my sister, my mom, and Natalie, they find this place, in San Jose, this treatment center. I go there for 30 days. I do everything I'm supposed to do. I get out. Uh, and it's crazy because I got out and I started smoking weed about like 60 days later. Little did I know I was giving myself permission to drink too. Not at that moment, but a little bit later after that. And I started to drink again. I remember when I drank, I was just like, I don't know if you guys are in the 12 step in AA or whatever, but just like the book says, that incomprehensible demoralization that you go back into, and the relapse is always worse. Like, literally, I watched my life fucking just go into shambles within a week. So when people, how do you know alcohol isn't for you? It's because I watched it destroy my life. I watched it multiple times where I could not stop by myself, and I tried. And I needed some type of help. The last time it was June 21st of 2020, a couple days before my sobriety date. And, I went to the liquor store 6 times that day. And that night, I went to the liquor store 6 times. I only remember going one time. Uh, and the next morning, my mom comes in my room, and, these are her words, these aren't mine. I had pissed myself. I had throw up on me. I had bottles of vodka next to me, and she had thought I was dead from drinking. She thought I had choked on my vomit. Yeah, the first words out of my mouth were, "Take me back to treatment because I can't do this by myself." Right. And she called police, and they were like, "Okay, bring him back." And they didn't even let me through the front door because I was so like, I was detoxing so bad. They were like, "No, you gotta go to the hospital, bro." Like, so I checked in at the emergency room. My body was, I went into the emergency room, and, I had all these machines hooked up to me, IV, stuff like that. And my heartbeat was beating irregular. I had abnormal heartbeat. My gallbladder and my stomach were like 2 times too big. My throat was like all cut from the alcohol that I was drinking. So my mom was like feeding me like ice chips, and she had like this little sponge where they could just like wet your mouth so your lips wouldn't crack, right? Uh, and I was like 115 pounds, right? And I remember laying in the hospital bed. I have a picture too of being in the hospital bed. And I just remember feeling like my body was just shutting down on me. Like, I remember feeling like my bones were giving off like
Yeah.
some type of like, it was giving like my energy away. I went back into treatment on June 23rd, I went back into treatment, and I remember feeling so guilty and that shame and that fucking just that hate for yourself, right? And I remember one of the drivers that worked at the center, that I still talk to her to this day. She had said, "You know what? You should be grateful that you're back because not a lot of people make it back." And at least because the first time I went there in the support systems, I had kind of fight with my dad, and my dad like blacked both my eyes and like bruised my ribs and all this crazy stuff. So this time I was going back in, and I did my best to be like, you know what? Thank God you're back, right? And it was June 24th, my sobriety date at 6:13 p.m. on the clock. I remember.
Wow.
And I sat there in a place called the Quiet Room, and I remember I just started fucking crying, right? I started crying because, I don't know at the time. I didn't know if because I was physically hurting. I didn't know if it was the pain that I was feeling or if it was like my soul, because my soul was like broken. It was like hopeless, man. It,
Yeah.
uh, it put me into this position where I had no choice. I was desperate. And,
Uh-huh.
I had thought, I remember praying, and I remember asking God, if you have like any trust in me, anything, like if you're just hanging on by like a fingernail, right? Just help me out. Just help me out, please. The moment I asked God if he was gonna help me, if he could help me, my life got a whole lot better. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I remember thinking like I have this dark tunnel that I'm walking down alone, right? But then I have this other tunnel that I have the option to go down, and there's like these people like that have lights, And like these are the people like in the rooms. They're like, you know what? Just come with us. Like, come down. Like, and follow us. Like, we got you.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It was it was. I was finally ready to accept help, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. What else do I got to lose? Like, I already, you know, my girlfriend was leaving me. I don't got anything else left to give anybody. So what? What choice do I have? And at that moment, I became willing. At that moment, I became willing because I had beaten my flesh up and my soul up enough, and everything from then on, everything at that moment got a whole lot easier. And I got on the phone with my girlfriend, who's my wife now at the time, and um, you know, I had asked her like, if you're gonna leave me, let me know so I could deal with this while I'm in treatment, right? And it's crazy because
Sorry.
my girlfriend tells me, she tells me, you know what? She's like, what type of woman would I be to leave my man when he's in the worst position of his life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for that, like, I owe her the rest of my life.
Yeah. I understand. My fiance did the same for me.
That's why I'm so,
Love is real.
yeah, that's why, you know, I say it in my vows. I told my wife, you were with me in my darkest times. For that, I owe you. I owe you the rest of my life. I owe you, like, the man that you deserve. Yeah, that's why my wife is. I have 3 simple rules. I have 3 simple rules that I live my life by, and I don't go outside of these rules for anybody. The first rule is I keep God first. My sobriety second. My sobriety and my recovery, and my third is my wife. That's it. And I don't break those rules for anybody. No, I don't go. I don't abuse. I don't go outside them for anybody. I don't care who you are. Not even my own mother will I go outside these rules. As long as I keep those rules straight, everything else seems to fall into place in my life. And I got out,
I love
and
that.
yeah, man, I got out. I got a sponsor. I did everything I was supposed to do, and I continue to do everything that I was supposed to do to this day. I sponsor multiple men in the program of in 12-step program AA. You know, one of my sponsees has 18 months. The other one just celebrated 3 years this month on the 3rd. I have another one that's
Awesome.
coming up on two of them that are coming up on 60 days. Like, I don't ever forget the position I was in and how someone showed me the way, right? So I owe that. Like, it's our responsibility to show whenever somebody reaches out to lend a hand out. I've had people reach out to me on Instagram that I never even met, you know, that I've taken the time out of my day to help. Like, you know what I mean? And yeah, I've never only I don't want anything from them. I don't want anything from them. Like, I don't want to charge them. I don't want you to pay $35 or $45 for a phone call with me. I don't want that. I don't want that. I want to see you get better. That's it. That's all I want to see. You get better. If you reach out for me to help and it pertains to drugs and alcohol or anything for that matter, like, I got a set of ears, and I will never tell somebody to do something that I haven't done myself. I just don't feel right about that.
Great.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy because
Successful first time making me cry ever, I think, on a podcast. So, but
Yeah, that was
I'm not a
powerful.
crier. I related this so much. I'm about to get married in 4 months, and oh my God, I'm gonna like really cry. I'm about to get married in 4 months to the person who stood by me in my darkest time. And I'm writing my vows right now, and I put very similar wording.
yeah,
So
it's a
thank you
it's
for
a
sharing that.
it's crazy because me and my wife are so alike. Like, she's literally like my twin. I'm so much to her, so much like my twin that our vows were almost similar in what we said to each
Wow.
other. I told her she's the female version of me. In her vow, she said I'm the male version of her. We both brought up the first drink as a bartender that I served her, which was a cranberry vodka. We both brought that up, right? We both like it was so similar in our vows, and I love my wife extremely. Like, my wife is the most important thing to me,
Amazing.
like, you know, and she's had my back, and that's why I do my best. Like, I'm not perfect, right, but I do my best to be the husband that she deserves and the man that she deserves. And, you know, I'm very blessed to say that, you know, we're having a baby next month. My daughter's going to be due in January 17th, you know, and so we went through some troubled times, you know, trying to, you know, conceive and stuff like that. And the only thing that got me through, you know, those moments and helped me be there for her was the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. That's the only thing that got me through was the people in the rooms that guided me to be a better person and to make sure I was mentally there. You know what I mean? Because I don't care what anybody says about like being not men not being emotional or this and that. The man, to me, the first thing a man has to take care of is his fucking mental health. If your mental health ain't, you can't help anybody. I'm sorry, like you can't. It
Well,
just doesn't. You know what I mean?
No, you're inspiring me
yeah.
as we speak to get more in touch with my emotional side, because I've been struggling with that lately because I have a lot of things that want to make me emotional and I've talked about it on other episodes, but just seeing you and how emotional you got about the things you care about and where you're at now and just talking about just a combination of struggle leading to like happiness, which you and your wife completely deserve. It's just like it's
Yeah.
extremely emotional and powerful to watch. Like, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, definitely.
Seriously.
And something that helped me with that is, well, I had mentioned this, but I work at a rehab. I work at a drug and alcohol rehab here in San Jose, and I've been working there since I was 90 days into recovery. I've been working there since I was days, and so I still work there to this day. I'm in business development with them now, so I transferred positions. But it was seeing people walk in exactly how I was that kept me humble, right? It was learning to deal with my emotions very quick because at 90 days, you can't just snap on somebody that's having a bad day, right? And the way I like to explain to people is think about 26 different people in treatment, and you go into work on any given day, and you have to deal with all those different emotions. Someone's having a good day, someone's having a bad day. People are getting, their kids taken away. People are getting divorced, right? If we're not straight as human beings and we don't have our mental straight, how am I going to help these clients? Like, how am I going to be there for them, even as a staff member? They may not even be asking me my advice in the beginning, but I still got to carry myself like, like a good member, like a sober member of any program, right? Whether you're in a 12-step program or whatever you choose to be in conscious recovery, you still have to carry yourself in an appropriate manner. And that was what taught me a lot of being like that institutionalized, that respectful, that guidance that transpired into setting my life straight a little bit and then just tweaking it, by working the steps and doing inventory and everything. Still, I could still be an inconsiderate, disrespectful asshole, right? But the thing is, I had to catch myself when I'm being like that, right? It's the response on how quick we're into the get to the solution. That's the growth, right? Because we're not perfect. I'm not perfect. I know for damn sure. It's something I always got to keep working on, to keep the life that I want to have, right? And it's amazing. The program has given me a beautiful life. People like you guys in the rooms, people, whichever program you are, your example.
I'm in an AA program every day, and it's changed my life too. So, and I think
So,
Rachel's heading back to AA program too. So it's life
I've
changing.
gone to a few meetings, but I haven't gotten heavily. I haven't found a home group yet. Again, I had a bad experience in early sobriety with AA,
yeah,
which left a really bad taste in my mouth. And then I went to a sobriety coach. That turned into being kind of a mess. So then I kind of I call this raw dogging sobriety. I
yeah,
was just doing that. But then I
yeah,
took kind of a Buddhist route and I meditate. The podcast is a big form of my recovery and Ryan in the Instagram community, but I need like human connection in person because like Ryan's literally in a different state. And, I also do need the woman connection. So I haven't found a home group again, but I want to give AA a shot because like you said, it's open arms. I'm going on 2 years, but I still need community? So,
yeah. 100. What,
yeah, like,
Ryan? Where do you live?
I live in Idaho. Yeah, North
What,
Idaho. So yeah, not too exciting over here. I'm originally from Seattle, so yeah.
gotcha, gotcha.
But
Seattle's a beautiful.
I spent quite a bit of time in the Bay Area in my 20s and stuff. I used to love going over there to drink and party. So
Yeah, crazy over here.
yeah, it's fun. But so like one of our last questions to ask, God, you said some really heartfelt stuff. Like
yeah,
I couldn't stop talking. And like, it's amazing. One of the best episodes we've ever shot. I just have to put that out there. And
yeah,
what
actually.
advice would you give to our listeners that are sober curious, new in recovery? What advice would you give them?
What advice I would give somebody new into recovery is that it's going to be very challenging cutting off people, but you don't gotta fully cut them off. There could still be acquaintances, right? You just have to put yourself first, right? I don't know if people do if you guys are, but we do a 90 and 90. So when I got out of treatment, supposed to do 90 meetings in 90 days. I did 176 meetings in 90 days, right? Your first year of sobriety should be setting your foundation. It should be setting your foundation and nothing else should matter. Find 3 simple rules, right? Like I had mentioned that I put God first, my sobriety and my wife. Find 3 simple rules, put them in place, and don't detour out of them for nobody, right? Also write down some values, some morals, and some principles that you want to live by, right? Honesty, respect, being loyal, right? And don't detour those for anybody as well. And I guess the biggest advice I would say is that you're gonna have fucked up days. You're gonna have fucked up days. You're gonna have days when you don't want to do stuff. And those are the days that you need to get your ass up and do something, right? Because the day's gonna come where you're going to the store and you have no intention of drinking, and the thought's going to come in your mind that maybe I could have a drink and nobody will find out about it. And if you ever get in that position, you're in a deadly, deadly place. So don't ever get yourself in that position, right? Get yourself a sponsor or find a mentor, whatever the case may be. Stick on to them. Most of all, you can lie to everybody else. You can lie to everybody else. You can lie on Instagram. You can lie on Facebook. You can lie to your parents, your boyfriend, whatever. But the last person that you're going to see at the end of the day is that person in the mirror. And you cannot lie to yourself because it will eventually catch up to you.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, amen to that for real.
Thank you so much, seriously, Julian, for being on the show and being so vulnerable and honest. Like,
Yeah.
it's this episode is probably one of the most inspiring one we ever had. I can't repeat that enough. But seriously, thank you
Yeah.
so much. You have no idea how grateful we are.
But thank you for
Yeah.
having me. It's an honor and a pleasure for you guys to ask me to be on the podcast. So anything you guys need from me on my end, I'm just a phone call away. So you guys make sure you holler at me. All right.
Thank you. And can you
Yeah,
announce
just
where
send
people
us
can reach you
pictures.
on Instagram?
Yeah. So you can reach me at the Hope_dealer on Facebook. You just type in my name, Julian Vasquez Bernabe.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Rock Bottom with Ryan. No bullshit, just recovery.